I was an unusually shy kid born in Hong Kong. I was adopted by a Russian-American dad and an American mom. I spent the first half of my life in a British school and I didn't talk much. I remember in the middle of class, a speech therapist would come and get me to practice the pronunciation of a few of my words. We would go over sounds like R or ah or th. One day, one of my classmates asked me why I would leave class. I told him I was learning how to speak properly. He teased and said, "You can't say your R's." This inevitably led to being made fun of. My parents separated, and in the summer of 2003, my mom, my brother, and I moved to Massachusetts. Moving to a new country at a young age sounds difficult, but the idea of starting over sounded exciting. I made a few friends and I started to come out of my shell more. Unfortunately, it became apparent that the friends I made weren't actually my friends. They said, "You can't be friends with us." I learned that the only reason people wanted to talk to me was because my accent sounded funny. I made a conscious decision in my head that I was going to learn how to talk like an American. I looked in the mirror and stared at my mouth movements. That was something I learned in speech therapy. Sure enough, I got rid of the accent I was raised with. It wasn't until middle school where I found my true calling to music. I had taken lessons and learned a few instruments: violin, piano, guitar, clarinet. But for me, there was a certain feeling about learning to play a song on guitar, as well as a guitar solo. It was the kind of feeling where you feel invincible. You're like, damn, I played that solo. There was also the pride of having the discipline to sit down for hours at a time, making sure you picked every note, every bend, every hammer-on, and every pull-off. In 8th grade, I was good enough to be in the jazz band. I was fortunate enough to have a guitar solo. I was able to showcase a passion of mine, and there was no feeling in the world like it. I continued pursuing guitar, but I knew there wasn't a huge market for people who enjoyed instrumental music. I knew I had to sing, even though I knew I hated my voice. There was something inside my soul driving me to learn how to play and sing at the same time. I wanted to speak with more than just notes. I wanted to speak with my words. I stumbled upon country artists like Brad Paisley, Keith Urban, and Taylor Swift. I absolutely loved the storytelling in their songs. I wanted to tell my stories in the same clear, meaningful way. Every Tuesday, I would force myself to go to an open mic with one of my friends. Even though I wasn't the strongest singer, I had that same invincible feeling performing to those same 10 people every week. At the end of my performances, some people would come up and tell me that I had a little bit of country in my music. My freshman year, I took a tour of Berklee College of Music. I knew that was the place I needed to hone my craft. A couple years later, I graduated high school early because I was accepted to Berklee. Berklee has world-class professors who have hands-on experience and success. When going to an office hour, I told the professor that I sang country music. He said to me, "You can't sing country music. You don't belong in country music. An Asian man in country music? You've got to be kidding me." After all that time I put into getting into that college, that was a real blow to my self-esteem. I thought to myself, he was right. There aren't any Asian people in country music. I was telling myself, why did I even come here? You aren't good enough to be here. There are hundreds of people who are better at country music than you are. I was my own worst enemy. I regretted changing myself so that others would like me. I didn't need a change. There were 3 steps I needed to take in order to get me where I needed to go. First one was spending more time in a mirror. From working with a speech therapist, I know I could be way more confident in the way I sang and way more effective in the way I communicated to others. It is also a great way to treat yourself right, which brings me to my second point, which is stop being your worst enemy. There are times that you will say things to yourself that you would never ever say to another human being. I knew I had to stop being the critic holding myself back. Lastly, I knew I had to share my story and my message. There is so much power in your voice. I believe no one should be able to silence what your heart says. Everyone has their own unique story, and everyone has the right to be heard. Fast forward to today, I am so grateful to live out my dream. I've been writing and singing in Nashville for over 4 years. I get to wake up and look forward to my day. I'm not making music to be famous or wealthy by any means. If it happens, great. I make music for those who are told they can't. If I can do it, you can too. I'm Andrei.